Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to 2018. You're with Graphic Policy Radio, and we'll be talking with you today about the best comics of 2017. Today, this is Ilana Levin, a.k.a. Ilana Brooklyn, hosting today. And today I'm being joined with a team of critics from the graphicpolicy.com website, which obviously you guys check on a regular basis for amazing reviews and news from the comics world. And so a number of the members of our comics team are joining us to talk about what we liked most in 2017. And hopefully all our listeners will get to sign off this podcast with a list of things that they want to check out. So, 2017 definitely was a year with some highs and lows, but we're going to focus on the highs right now because we want you to get that shopping list of what you want to buy. And we're going to be talking about everything from Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, Image, Boom, IDW, Lion Forge, Manga, underground publishers that no one's ever heard of before. We want to cover that gamut, indie, mainstream, the works. And if you have favorite comics of the year, I also invite you to tweet at us right now. I'm at Ilana, ELANA _Brooklyn, and I will be checking our Twitter feed. And so real quick, the folks joining me are Madison Butler, Logan Dalton, Alex Carcosa, and Ryan Carey. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
Hello. Hey. So who wants to get us started by talking about what was the best new series that launched in 2017? A series where there was like a number one issue that came out during the past year.
I've got one that I think was a pretty clear, this is Ryan, by the way, pretty clear one that has the most promise, I would say, of anything going forward, hopefully, is the new anthology Now from Fantagraphics. It's like a Kramer's Ergot type of sort of art comics anthology, 128 pages per issue at a very affordable $10.
That is a lot of comics for not a lot of money.
Yeah. Oh, you get a great, value-wise, it's terrific. First issue had some superb strips by Ethan Van Sciver, Antoine Cose, just Gabriel Bell, a lot of great cartoonists in there. So if they can keep up that level of quality, I think we'll be in for a good, like a Mome or Raw type of series going forward.
What else do we got, guys?
So my favorite, it's a mini series, but hopefully it'll get a second season. But it started out as Hi-Fi Fight Club, but then they had some copyright issues. Heavy Vinyl from Boombox. It's by Carly Ousden, who's actually a writer for RuPaul's Drag Race, and a new artist, Nina Vakueva, is the artist. And it's like a 90s period piece about these girls who work at a record store and they're in a vigilante fight club. And I like it because it's like a really high concept idea, but Carly Ousden spends a lot of time in the series developing the relationships between the girls, some unique backstories. There's like a really strong central queer romance that like is kind of like, it's like the core of the series. Like, I mean, this could be a great book if it was just them shooting the shit at the record store and like, I don't know, like the 90s hangout places. But yeah, there's like a cool like, and there's also like a cool like theme in the background that's not like too preachy. Well, maybe at the end it was, but like how like music can like inspire people and give women especially power, and it was cool. And yeah, the name change was a little weird, but it was a really strong miniseries. And yeah, Boombox, like in my eyes, Boombox can really do no wrong. It's strong little, very queer, very like unique art style imprint, and it's been going strong for like, I don't know, like 4 years.
It's called Heavy Vinyl now? Because I lost track of it when the name changed. Okay, Heavy Vinyl. Got it.
Yeah, me too. I was like reviewing it and like, what's Heavy Vinyl? Why is it on issue 4? That sounds like a cool title. I'm like, oh, Hi-Fi Fight Club. So that was a little weird, but it's a good book, and hopefully people will check it out and trade.
As someone with way too much personal emotional investment in the clothing that women who work at a record store in the 90s may or may not be wearing based on my own personal life experiences, I felt like it did a good job. So what about you, Alex?
My favorite first issue of the year was Secret Weapons by Valiant. It is a miniseries that leads into a bigger story, I think, later this year. But as a miniseries, I think it's just fantastic. Written by Eric Heisera, who the screenwriter behind Arrival. I never saw it, but apparently the movie's fantastic.
The Arrival is the movie you said?
Arrival won like a shitload of Oscars and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so so I think what happened is he's scripting one of Valiant's movies that's coming out whenever it's coming out, and he pitched some ideas to them about what he wanted to do in the movie, and Dinesh Shamdasani said, well, this isn't a Livewire movie, it's a movie about these other characters, but you're more than welcome to write us a book about it. So he did. And it's an absolutely fantastic story about characters who have the most useless superpowers ever, trying to get together and being somewhat functional as a team, as they're basically being hunted for these useless superpowers.
That's a fun concept. Do you have to know the Valiant universe to?
No, you really don't. It helps if you have a little bit of a background to it, but I have told so many people that I know to just pick it up and enjoy it, and not to worry about this other stuff. Mm-hmm. The second or third issue, I think, has a brilliant scene where one of the characters, Avi, he's a Sikh, so he wears a turban, and he's in class in university or college, and all these people are pointing and looking at him, and in his mind, he's thinking that they're mistaking him for a Muslim and then making a leap to him being a terrorist, and he just wants to keep his head down. The people pointing at him don't care that, about his appearance. They're more concerned that they know he has powers. They don't know what they are, and like in classic X-Men, they fear him, and they just want to get rid of him. And it's such a brilliant sequence that as it goes through, I'm pretty sure it's the second issue. But yeah, it's absolutely wonderful miniseries.
Cool. I was having a hard time answering that question myself, but I can definitely say that the comic that debuted this year that has occupied more of my mental energy than any of the others, and that I am definitely enjoying, even though I have concerns. Is I'm like many other people, I'm really hooked on Mr. Miracle. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of the Fourth World. I have some questions about what the story he's telling right now may or may not be saying with response to the politics of Jack Kirby's own story that he told, but it's certainly much more. It's a comic that I can't get out of my head in terms of what the story is doing, and the relationship between Big Barda and Scott Free in it is really fabulous and a wonderful thing to see. So that's my qualified pick. But I have a lot more thoughts though about what are the best comics that are continuing, that have been going on for a while, but in the year 2017 continued to deliver really excellent issues, really excellent stories that were ongoing. I'd love to hear what you guys were reading that's an ongoing title that was great the past year too.
I'll chime in and say, how about Love and Rockets? I mean, now that it's back in magazine format, it kind of feels like coming home. I think it's been so good for so long that we almost take it for granted. But the Hernandez brothers keep turning out phenomenal work. It's just incredible still after all this time.
Yeah. Matt, go ahead.
I honestly don't think anything I've been reading this year has been going on that long. A lot of what I've been reading this year either started this year or ended this year when it was launched.
Huh. Well,
that makes sense because you're really into Valiant, and Valiant likes doing the seasons, which I think is really cool actually. To clear it beginnings and ends, and you don't have to big numbers scare me. Sorry, people getting hyped for Action Comics 1,000, but big numbers just I get anxiety. I think I missed everything or something, and even though I can jump in. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, I think a lot of the comics that I read as ongoings were on huge breaks this year. Like I don't. Did Bitch Planet like come out at all last year? If it did, I feel like it was early in the year.
Yeah,
yeah.
Had like
specials came out, which I don't think I didn't get to read any of those, but I think that's like the big one. And Wicked.
Yes.
Wicked and Divine.
Wicked,
that's always a good one.
I feel like this was a great year for Wicked. That was my top of my list for best ongoing. I mean, the reveals that happened in this season were really just shocking, but completely earned and justified. And I think a lot of comics. A lot of comics, when they do that, it's not earned and it's not justified. And you can really see all the building that's gone towards it, and the sensitivity with the characters, and the art just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
I know you've been reviewing it ongoing, Logan. What did you think about it?
Wicked. I mean, I was at the beginning of the year, a little skeptical. I'm like, this is a pretty long Imperial Phase story arc, and I mean, but like, yeah, it definitely built up. Like, I mean, there's a whole issue of Dionysus and Baphomet talking in the dark, and unlike any other series, I'd be like, this is such filler, it's over. But like, it like built up to his big kind of moment, his big like sacrificial, like messianic death, and then we also had like some nice little like kind of fun like side candy from like the ancient Rome issue, like Andre Arajo. I'll probably talk about him later. He's a great artist, and the special was just like pure fan fluff, which is kind of like what the series is all about. So, and we also got to see like Chris Anka and like China Klux and Flores, like their takes on the characters. Probably my continuing series that's like just there's like it's in the 30s and it's still just like killing it as far as the humor and the relationships and slice of life is Giant Days. Like, it's great. I mean, I can't believe it's been going on for like 3 years. There's a whole issue focusing on the main character's parents. We had a whole issue that was like an homage to like Richard Curtis movies, like Love Actually, and like and like the first issue this year was pretty wild too, focused on one of the more supporting male characters. So like it's like I hope it like goes on forever, but it's crazy.
That's
like
slice of life
boom
comic,
again.
Sort of.
Yeah, it's like about these girls in England who are at university, and it kind of has a surreal art style, but it's like all just like straight up like they just are in college, boyfriends, girlfriends, jobs, weird smells in the attic. Just all like it's great. It definitely has like a British sense of humor, but like I feel like most of the jokes are actually visual, so it's pretty great. And like there are a bunch of trades out now, so like 6, I think. It's crazy.
Wow.
I remember when it first came out. Yeah, so good.
I know that one of the series that I feel like has just been getting better and better over time is Princeless over at Action Labs. Like, it's just one of those, it's an all ages series that I recommend to a lot of people I know with kids. Really feminist, diverse, and fun. And the skill and intelligence and creativity and humor of the series, like you can really see the writer, Jeremy Whitley's strength growing over time. To the point where it's sort of like I feel like I want to give people the later volumes instead of the first when I introduce them to it, just because the later ones are so freaking amazing. But it's been nice to see sort of his career grow in that way, and I feel like that's been a really strong ongoing title. And I also would say Deathstroke, but we're probably going to do a panel around that in March at the 6 month, at the end of the most recent story cycle. But like Deathstroke's actually working. I know that's crazy that it's working over at DC.
Black Panther.
Oh yes. So what do you think about Black Panther as an ongoing?
I actually am way behind. Sorry, they're just showing like trailers right now on TV.
Oh.
My bad. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to. Well, speaking of Ta-Nehisi Coates, like I'm really looking forward to his Storm series with Jim Bartels in 2018. It's gonna be good. I hope it doesn't get canceled because Marvel. Marvel.
Yeah, I actually did not create a category for most beloved comic that was canceled in 2017 because that would only bring the tears. But I could say, do you folks have a favorite graphic novel or trade paperback that might be coming out right now or had just come out, which might perhaps encompass some of our favorite things that may or may not have been canceled in the past year, or perhaps a holistic graphic novel written to be read in one book? Hit me up.
Oh, I've got one I'm looking to very much forward to in the next couple of weeks here.
Mm-hmm.
And that is called The Lie and How We Told It by Tommy Parish, non-gender binary cartoonist from Australia. Their first book came out from 2D Cloud called Perfect Hair, and it was sort of a non-narrative type of book. But the new one looks like it's going to be a sort of a relationship thing about two friends and something that kind of drove a wedge between them. And Parish's art style is incredibly colorful and very fluid, and I think it's going to be one of those books that gets talked about all year long. Maybe not quite to the same level as something like My Favorite Thing is Monsters, but it could be the breakout book of the year the way that was.
Yeah, that publisher, I just got familiar with them when I read Mirror Mirror, which two from Shanti Collins and Julia Graham, who were on the podcast this past spring. They're definitely like, you know, a big deal for the art comics world.
Yeah, now I think Fantagraphics is publishing this The Lie and How We Told It. I'd have to double check that to make sure. But definitely Parish got their start with 2D Cloud and is moving on to something else. But 2D Cloud's new Kickstarter should be up to February, March, and they'll have a great slate of books coming out this year, just like they always do.
Who else has got a graphic novel that you want folks to check out?
I mean, I feel like everybody's read it at this point, but I really, really loved My Favorite Thing is Monsters. That was probably like my favorite comic that I read all year, but it was just so well done. The writing was really just like intriguing. There were so many twists in the story, and the whole thing is drawn in ballpoint pen, so it looks incredible. So I mean, reading that was like an experience. It was awesome.
I need to read it. I have not. It sounds amazing.
It's so good.
I think it's probably the most important standalone graphic novel probably since Mouse, and that's no exaggeration.
Damn.
Oh, wow.
It was so good.
Okay,
I'm so excited
for
the second volume, too. Yeah, definitely have
to. I also just wanted to think when we're thinking about like number ones that happened in this past year. I mean, one of the most ambitious things that happened was Lion Forge Comics like literally launched an all new superhero universe with a whole slew of issue ones, like the fact that they are launching a new superhero universe from scratch with really A-list talent, which is predominantly people of color, was like a really interesting endeavor because there have been like other brand new comics universes that other publishers have tried to launch that have always felt flat, and often, frankly, I think they've fallen flat because the quality wasn't there. And I think the quality really is there for Lion Forge's universe. And, it's a range of titles, so there's some that I like and some that I don't. I think that the strongest ones that are ongoing would be like Noble. The new one that just came out called Summit is only one issue, but I think it looks really exciting from when I saw it. And Kino was really cool. I didn't really like Acel, but Brett loved Acel. So, there's a range of different tones in it. But insofar as just beginning a new comics universe that's sort of centered in a Mexican business like empire, like they're sort of Tony Stark. The morally ambiguous Tony Stark of the series is based in she's in Chiapas. Like that has not something I've read before. It's a very science fiction heavy line of superhero comics, and they just really invested in art hardcore. So I think folks should definitely keep an eye on that. And I guess if I had to pick just one title from that, read the title that debuted everything and then check out Noble. But I think there's a lot of good pieces throughout. Is anybody else reading those?
I really need to read the superhero stuff, but they also have a really good line of like translated like French graphic novels, and I'm like, wow, like this is the future of publishing right here. Like they definitely, because they have all ages superheroes and like kind of overseas like memoir-y stuff. I'm like, wow, like that's awesome. Like just the range.
Anything good that we don't know about from France? Because I sure as heck don't know about it.
Oh shoot, I forget what it was called, but like there was this really good like 300-page Swiss graphic novel that I reviewed a few months ago. I think it was called like Oh Shit or something, and it was this like kind of like non-linear. Like this guy's like a cartoonist, he's like an asshole, but like it like he had real consequences throughout the story, and yeah, I really liked it, and yeah, it was a good autobio book.
Who was the cartoonist on that one?
It was no one I'd ever even heard of it. It wasn't like a big name, but it was like Swiss. And yeah, Lionports translated it and republished it. I forgot what it was called though. It was months ago.
Well, I know that Logan's voting for Boombox. What are the other smaller publishers that have had really good years?
Scout is good. Scout is good.
Yeah. I was super excited about their comic Long Lost, and that turned out. I mean, it's coming out now. I like it a lot.
Scout published.
Get a plug in there. Go ahead.
Sure.
Sorry.
So I was going to say, I've really been loving what Valiant has done this year, which probably should come as an people. I started a couple of years ago. I never even heard of them, and now hands down they are. For me personally, I would say they are the best publisher publishing superhero comics at the moment. I'm not going to say they've never done a bad book because no one can be perfect all the time, but pound for pound, I would say their best books are better than anything Marvel and DC do.
Well, Faith has always looked good whenever I dip my toe into it. I'm always like, oh, that's right. That's really good. It feels like Spider-Man from when he was a young adult, like the books that came out when I was a young teen, were the Spider-Man books where he had just gotten out of college. And I feel like Faith is sort of doing that for, young people today, like a 21-year-old just out of school. And Faith reminds me of Spider-Man in so many ways, like a character. So
there was the Faith miniseries. I think it was last year. Now the third issue has probably one of my favorite scenes in comics that I've seen in a long time. Faith works at basically a BuzzFeed, and she's locked in the closet with her editor, and these people are coming in with guns, doing what villains do. And she's looking around the room. She's like, how can I get out of this room, maintain my secret identity, and save the day all at once without anyone knowing what I can do, and how can I do it really quickly? And she looks around. She's like, I can't, and just bursts out the room in full superhero costume, and all of the people in the closet with her who are desperately trying to stay alive are just as shocked that they had a superhero in the closet as they are that all of a sudden their world that was turned upside down has now gone upside down again, and they've been saved by the mild-mannered reporter who what one could argue wasn't all that great a reporter, but it's just got such a great internal monologue as she bursts out. If you haven't read it and you can't find it, let me know, and I'm more than happy to send stuff out.
To point us in the right way, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, I actually did see that. I thought that was a really cool inversion on the general theme, and obviously the art from Marguerite Sauvage is always gorgeous.
Oh yeah, the dream sequences, yeah.
Oh God, it's so beautiful. Which I guess brings me to my next question, which is like, what is the most beautiful comics art you've seen this year? And it could be art on a particular comic, or it could be a particular piece you saw, or it could be some fan art you saw on the internet. Like, what is the eye candy that you've most enjoyed looking at?
Anything by Louis LaRosa.
Anything by who?
Luis LaRosa.
Luis LaRosa?
Yeah, so he again, Valiant Comics, been doing Bloodshot Salvation. He's dividing it, the comics divided between LaRosa and Nico Suyan. He's also fantastic. There was also Savage that LaRosa drew part of each issue as well. And I feel bad that I'm only paying $4 an issue to get this artwork. It is absolutely jaw-droppingly amazing each and every time. I don't think I've seen a bad panel by this man. It is fantastic.
Which title is he on? Or titles?
Off the top of my head, he's doing right now. He's on Bloodshot Salvation. Fifth issue comes out Wednesday. He did Savage, which is basically a Robinson Crusoe / Tarzan kind of mix. And it's just, I mean, if you're online, just let's Google Luis LaRosa and you'll find some fantastic artwork. For the best of list we did, my example for LaRosa's art, I just put in Luis LaRosa comic and I grabbed the first result that was big enough. Like I didn't specifically choose anything. That was just the first result I had. He is one of the few artists who, if I see his name on a book, I'm going to jump right on it. No questions asked.
Yeah, I feel that way. Like, I'm a sucker for, a couple of different artists. Like, anything they'll do, I'll always just buy. I really, like, if it's, I pretty much buy anything that Stephanie Hans has done art on. And the interiors, did you see the interiors she did on Batwoman this year?
Oh, man, that looks like average, but she, like, kind of made me, like, notice it for a little while.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I felt like the recent Batwoman, from, like, the relaunch of Batwoman this past year is the best Batwoman we've had since Rucka wrote it, but it's, like, I mean, it's not, like, my favorite comic of the year, but it's definitely the best since definitely the best Batwoman we've had in years. And Stephanie Hans' art.
Yeah, I just miss J.H. Williams so much. J.H. Williams just had that unique. I mean, Steve Epting and Steve Epting's a solid artist, but like J.H. Williams is beautiful, like tapestries, and I mean, yeah, it has a ways. I actually really like. I think Batwoman's better written in Detective Comics, actually.
James Tynion is on that book as well, right?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, like his better writing juices goes to that book. I don't know. It's weird.
I have not touched that book in a while, but I have heard good things.
It's really good. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk some more artists. Give me some more names. I mean, I whenever I see anything, I have my usuals. I'm always like, oh my gosh, I can like look at anything that Kevin Wada does, but it's always the covers only, and then I have to ask, like, do I care about what's inside, or am I just buying more things for Kevin Wada covers? It's a real trap.
Yeah. I really like Audrey Mock. She started out doing a fashion superhero webcomic called Heroin Chic, and now she did Josie and the Pussycats for Archie, and now she's on like the main Archie book, and she's a really good eye for fashion and just drawing beautiful human beings, and also like is good with humor as well, and even even a little bit of action. Like Archie and Josie aren't really action heavy books, but there's like motorcycle races and stuff, and they have really good like motion, I guess, and kind of suspense especially. So yeah, like Archie with Mark Waid isn't a great book, but I'm like reading it right now just for Audrey Mock because Josie and the Pussycats got canceled. So yeah, Audrey Mock is definitely. She's like one of those artists who like has beautiful, like gorgeous cover, like movie poster quality, and then like the interiors are just as good. So like definitely gonna follow her wherever she goes. Archie,
cool.
Maybe something create her own. Like who knows? But yeah, right now she's like the star at Archie.
I have a artist recommendation. I am confident no one here has heard of, but you will see her work if you check it out and be blown away. Her name is Inez Estrada. She is from Mexico City. I believe she's living in Texas now. She did a 6-issue self-published series this year called Alienation. You can get it from her website. That's gatosorio.com, GATOSAURIO. She has it in a 6-pack bundle with postcards, stickers, and it comes in a biohazard bag, so it's really great packaging. It's a really inventive sci-fi series that does well what everything that I would say, if you were familiar with Tokyo Ghost from a year or two back, everything that Remender tried to do in that book but kind of got sidetracked by his own, every one of his books reads like a personal therapy session sort of. Everything that he's trying to say about VR, disconnection from the natural world, what it all means. It is an amazing series. It's called Alienation. Her line work is incredible. Her attention to detail will just blow your mind. And she has some 2-page spreads in there that are like almost nothing you've ever seen before. She is just an amazing artist. And there's 2 full-color postcards that come in there with it that are, worthy of putting in a frame almost. So I would definitely recommend any of you check out the work of Inez Estrada, particularly this new one, Alienation. Complete 6-issue series that came out last year. And one quick thing, if I could dovetail back for just a moment when you were talking about publishers that had a good year, I think Annie Koyama at Koyama Press deserves some special recognition. It was her 10th year in business, and I think she had her strongest publishing lineup yet with some of this stuff like Eleanor Davis's You and a Bike and a Road, Kyla Roberts' Sunburning, Jesse Jacobs' Crawl Space. Annie Koyama just had an incredible year at Koyama Press.
Cool. Well, those are some great recommendations, and I'll tweet those links out to folks in a little bit. Thank you.
Sure.
I also wanted to give some love to Raoul Allen and Patricia Martin. They're the artists on Secret Weapons. And it's just the way they can tell a story visually is just like, it may not be as traditionally beautiful and frame-worthy as some of the other artists that we've talked about, but I think in terms of telling a story visually, it's just fantastic. I remember reading and I feel like I should have had more examples ready to really go to bat for them, but they can make something really simple like tossing the ball up in the air and catching it, just really dynamic with panels and layouts, and it's just again, and I was talking about Valiant tonight.
Oh, that's cool though. I do notice, like, I'm not really, like I said, I don't really read much Valiant, but I definitely notice that they are a publisher that invests in having good artists that do like really detailed, thorough work. I mean, like, nothing drives me crazy like when you're looking at a page and it's clearly like hasn't finished being inked, which is a thing that has happened before on things that I have read. So I like
7 inkers on it, like, because they just want to get 2 books out of, like, I hate this whole like 2 books out a month. Like, don't do it unless you're like a solid rotation like they have for Batman. Like, it's just ridiculous, and it's so rushed. And I'm like, dude, you have Disney money, you have Warner Brothers money. Like, come on, invest in artists.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not like you're, Black Mask or something who's like, I don't know, like, just like trying to stay alive. Like, you have money, you have corporate money. Like, come on.
I agree. I mean, I definitely feel like one of the artists who I guess it's almost cheating from the future category. Everything Jen Bartels does keeps getting better and better, and like, I'm looking forward to seeing her do a whole range of interiors for a big for the Storm series when that happens soon. But every book she works on, I'm always a little bit like suckered towards looking at it because it's just so beautiful. And I think that the figures used to be a little stiffer and that they've gotten more comfortable in their own skin over time, and it's definitely, it just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, she was great on Jim and the Holograms. Like, that book had some atrocious art, and then like she came back and nudged it towards the finish line a little bit. And,
I can't believe that. I feel like that book would have lasted longer had it not had the range.
I mean, it's still around, but it's just, I don't know. I think a lot of the reasons is because like Sophie Campbell's designs were so married to it, and you had to have her on the book, and like people trying to do her was just not a good idea. Like some people can, but I mean,
but not everyone. Yeah. I'm this is sort of skipping from one question to another, but I'm going to do it anyway. Like another, some of my favorite individual stuff that I've seen this year has been web only, which would include As the Crow Flies, which existed as a web comic. We had the creator Mel Gilman on the show, I guess maybe over the summer, and they're doing this incredibly detailed colored pencil drawn art. And that's going to be published in book form this upcoming year, but you can look at the whole series that they made on the website As the Crow Flies right now. So I'm like, it's some of the best graphic novels / upcoming / art online. And just the amount of detailed colored pencil work and the sensitivity of the characters, the way Mel draws nature in the background and the color palette is so remarkable. But then I also made me think about my favorite piece of fan art that I've seen this year. And I don't know if you guys seen Alex DeCampi and crew have been doing a
God.
Series, yes. A series called Hell's Kitchen.
Good. It's so good.
Hell's Kitchen Movie Club. And, if they're not going to give, more free reign to do creative things with the big characters, then it's fun to see this get a hold. Basically, the concept that she has is Punisher and Bucky watch movies and like talk about life on a couch. And I feel terrible that I'm not recalling the name of the artist. I'll go look him up. But it is on Tumblr. If you look up Hell's Kitchen Movie Club, and it has some wonderful political satire. It has some real emotional intensity of two veterans who have really bad PTSD dealing with stuff, and it's also really funny. I would absolutely buy that for $3.99 a month at my comic shop if it was being made.
Yeah, me too. It's like I think some of the best like superhero comics are like basically fan fiction on Tumblr, like Hannah Blumenreich, who like someone should just give her the reins to Spider-Man. Like I know she had backups, but these people these fresh voices who aren't like ingrained in the system but still love these characters, and you get some good stuff. And I mean the names alone sell them, so you don't need to. I mean, come on, you can just.
They have big followings. Okay.
Yeah.
So to be thorough, Dave Acosta is the main artist on Hell's Kitchen Movie Club, and D. Cummings does the color. So that's my favorite fan art of the year.
Yeah.
Are we talking fan art specifically, or are we talking web comics in general, or
web comics in general? Any of the above.
Okay, an artist I discovered online this year who has some great auto-bio strips is a Filipino cartoonist named November Garcia. She is talented as all get-go. She has a way of making these deadpan daily life situations, some of which are actually somewhat harrowing, kind of revolving around alcoholism and neuroses and things. She has a way of making them funny. And she's got a very self-deprecating sense of humor. Her stuff is at novembergarcia.com. And she has collected her strips into a couple of print books. The title is Malarkey, 2 issues. And even if you're not a fan of auto-bio comics, I think you will find that these will win you over pretty quickly.
Cool. I am not a fan of
very
auto-bio, but that does look good. It looks good. Yeah. Well, I definitely, Oh Human Star is a webcomic, which you can also buy in print, but that has maintained its high quality. It actually is the first graphic novel that my mom has read. Can someone go on mute? I'm getting too many police sirens. It's the first graphic novel I got my mom to read, since she read Mouse back when Mouse came out, because her parents, my grandparents, are Holocaust survivors. This is the only other thing she's read. She's like, oh, this is really cool. But yeah, Oh Human Star is, science. It's humans and robots interacting in a future a very nearby future, while also being a family drama, while also being a love story, and it's really sensitive, and it's all free on the internet, still maintaining its very high quality.
What's that web address?
Human Star. OH Human
Got it.
Star.
Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, no, you should definitely check it out. Going back up my list. Yes, manga. So I don't know anything about that, but I know one of our guests sure does. Do you want to talk about the best manga to hit the States?
Sure. I actually didn't really read manga until last year. But I started watching My Hero Academia, which is like a huge anime that got super popular. You've probably seen it on Twitter if you've been on Twitter for more than 5 minutes and are in the comic circle. So I caught up on that, and then I started reading the manga, and it's just like this very wholesome story about like these people who in the future, like most people have a mutation that gives them like these superpower type things. And it's about a kid who doesn't have a mutation, and he just like wants to be a hero. So it's very nice, and like just like it's a good story, and the characters are all great. So I read that, and then My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness came out last year, I think too, and I really like that one as well. Just like a very touching story about this woman who just decides, like, she figures out that she's a lesbian, and then tries to, I don't know, have like her first sexual experience, and so it's just, I don't know, it was a really touching and good story, so I highly recommend that one as well.
I have heard.
Yeah, I can second that. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to check it out. It was one of the books I wanted to read at the end of the year, but didn't get around to it.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a one book thing, so it's like pretty short, easy to read.
Nice.
And highly recommend it.
So what are you looking forward to most in 2018? I can say for myself, I'm really excited to check out A Twisted Romance, which is Alex DeCampi is writing with basically every hot up-and-coming artist whose work I'm interested in is doing art on it, plus Carla Speed McNeil, who is a successful artist already. So it's going to be Alex's particular humor and quirkiness applied towards the romance comic genre, and she's really using it to like get us into a range of different styles and approaches from really cool artists. There's going to be an issue released every week in February. I am super excited for that. And oh my gosh, you know what I didn't mention? I should have. Saladin Ahmed who has been just knocking it out of the ballpark on Black Bolt. I mean, like one of the only Marvel comics that I read. He's starting a cop story taking place in the 70s, and that's going to be starting in the new year as well.
Oh, yeah, Abbott. It's a Boom book. Go Boom.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think it's Boombox, but it's, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, Boombox is sort of like their youth imprint. But Saladin Ahmed has just had this amazing year. You know, he's an experienced science fiction writer. He's new to writing comics, although he's always been a comics geek. But I'd love to hear him do sort of a genre 70s cop New York City thing. Those are all adjectives that I love. So.
Yeah, that sounds really awesome. Actually, I'll be looking forward to that one.
So, what else do you guys want to see in 2018 that you know is actually coming?
I'm really hyped about what.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm really hyped to what DC's doing with Young Animal, like crossing over the main DC universe and Milk Wars. It's just, I don't know, it's going to be a weird experience seeing like Steve Orlando and like Gerard Way team up, and then the stuff coming out of it's really good too, like Mags Assaggio is doing Eternity Girl. Yeah, I really like Young Animal. It's like so fun. Like Doom Patrol kind of wavers in quality, but like it's just cool seeing like it's like a great throwback to like 90s Vertigo, but with some like kind of modern ideas, I guess. And yeah, it'll be cool to see them interact with the main DC universe, and yeah, hopefully, I don't know, hopefully it's better than like Doomsday Clock, but just,
oh God,
I don't know.
Anything is better than Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, but like I feel like one reason I like DC, like I've started liking DC recently, is it's so weird. Like it's been around for like 80 plus years, and there's all these kind of characters that have been forgotten that like cool creative people can kind of bring into the woodworks. Like I don't know, like Cave Carson or whatever. And I think like Young Animal's done a good job of like kind of leading into the weird, and plus it's just seeing Gerard Way do creative things. Rip My Chemical Romance.
Co-sign. Yeah. I co-sign these statements.
Yeah.
Madison, do you have
any volume?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think the second volume of My Favorite Thing Is Monsters comes out this year, which I'm super excited for. So that one, and then I'm going to be catching up because I did grad school last year, so I didn't have a lot of time to read comics in addition to just being kind of like a little bit burnt out. So I'm excited to like catch up on a bunch of stuff that I missed. I forgot to mention Monstrous earlier because I'm super behind on it, but I have a huge love for monstrous women, so I'm going to be catching up on that soon too.
And that's stunning art. Like it feels like any page you flip to on that.
It's beautiful. Yeah. The covers are just like astounding, and then that's what the inside looks like too. It's crazy. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, that's
my favorite thing is Monsters Volume 2 is August.
August, okay. I'll get ready for it.
Yeah, cool. I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And the other big thing that I'm looking forward to this year that I think will probably, the news has been out there for some time, and it's another thing that's been around so long that I think people just sort of take it for granted. But I'm looking forward to the final volume of League of Extraordinary Gentlemen from Alan Moore and Kevin O'Neill. It's going to be their last work. Yeah, it's going to be both of their last works in comics. They're both retiring from the medium after that, although we've heard that from Moore a few times, haven't we? But I would expect that they're going to close things out with a real flourish. I think it's going to end with a bang, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I am a sucker for that series, so sign me up. I'm definitely going to be reading that. Yeah. I didn't know that. Okay, that's exciting. I have not picked up Priest's Justice League yet. I've heard it's excellent. His run on Deathstroke has been really cool. So I will be looking at Priest on Justice League. I don't really give a crap about the Justice League itself, but when you tell me that there's an interesting writer on it, and I'm particularly I love it when people choose the more offbeat characters. It's always more interesting to me. I think that's just the you can have more creativity and less and more freedom with what you can do in those situations. So
yeah, he's doing the little things right. Like Jessica Cruz, the Green Lantern, she's speaking in Spanish on panel, to distract a invader on the satellite. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's awesome, and he was out of comics for a while, like preaching and stuff, being a pastor, and now he's back in the game, and just I'd really like to see him on Black Panther again, but I mean, I think he's doing a small story, but he's kind of killing it at DC right now.
Definitely Mag's Element Girl coming out at I want to say, keep wanting to say Vertigo, but it's not. What's it called?
Yeah, Eternity Girl at Young Animal.
Thank you. Eternity Girl at Young Animal is really something I'm excited to get out too.
Yeah, there's an issue.
Yeah?
So there's an issue of Bloodshot Salvation coming out where Jeff Lemire is handling the art as well as the writing. And I don't know a whole lot about it because I don't tend to read that many previews. But my understanding is that he's using, it's all like a black and white issue. There's very little actual art in it. And he's using the panels and the gutters to tell the story along with dialogue. And I'm really excited to see how he does that and how that's put together. I think it's the 6th issue, which should come out next month, or maybe the 7th, which would be in March. But what I'm really excited for this year, more than anything else, in all honesty, have you guys ever heard of Voracious?
Heard of what?
Voracious.
Voracious.
Yeah.
Oh, from Action Lab?
Lab? So if you haven't heard of it, go read it. But it's about a time-traveling chef that hunts dinosaurs and serves them in his diner. Last year,
I met the artist at a convention. It looks like a fun book.
So the third issue of the second series, Feeding Time, was hands down my favorite comic released last year. Without there's never a question as to what that comic would be. For me, that's always going to be my favorite comic of the year. So they're doing a Kickstarter launching, I think, this year, spring, summer maybe, for the third volume, Appetite for Destruction. I cannot wait to get my hands on that. I cannot wait to talk about it. I can't wait to read about it. It's a series that I don't think anywhere near enough people are reading. There's 2 trades out right now. It's a 3-trade story, and man, those the concept itself is fantastic, but then you get into the characterization and the relationships between the characters and the concepts that Marcus Alneso and Jason Muir are exploring, and then you've got the colors by Andre Tabacaro, and it's one of the best examples of comic book storytelling that I've seen from Action Lab, and most any other publisher in the last couple of years, to be totally honest with you. And I read it purely because of the time-traveling chef hunts dinosaurs line. Any comic that starts with that is immediately going to get my attention, and then to hold it over a couple of years. There's been 4 or 5 issues a year for the last 2 years. I find in comics, if there's only 4 or 5 issues a year, it's easy to kind of lose track of the story of when it's being published. It is it's absolutely one of the best things you're going to read.
That really is a challenge. When things have of a complex or slow publishing schedule for a lot of people. Actually, I should say one of my favorite graphic trade paperback really of the year was 4 Kids Walk Into a Bank, which has been going on for a number of years, and there aren't that many issues of it. But the end result, I thought, was fabulous, and I had one of the strongest emotional responses to that comic, laughter and tears, not at the same time. And that was 2017 when the trade came out. So now you guys can read it all at once rather than waiting over periods of time. It was worth it. It was worth it.
It sucked. I was at a C2E2 and they had they were issue ahead, but I just missed it, and it was a painful moment.
Because you got spoiled on the ending.
No, I didn't get spoiled. I could have had a chance to be ahead of people, but I missed it because it was limited edition. Because Black Mask is good at that. The small publishers are good at the gimmicks and I love Black Mask, but I know all their good writers are getting poached by Marvel and DC, but especially Marvel. But they definitely when they deliver. But I don't know. Sometimes I'm man, I wish Collects It #2 would come out. Is it ever going to come out?
That has been a very divisive title, so I'm intrigued at your support, but I have not read it. So
I love it. It was so cool. It was they were talking about it on CNN and stuff. It was getting into the mainstream, old clueless people were talking about it. But then it just issue 2 never happened, which is kind of sad because it was a great book.
Who
it had
is
some good merch too.
That is something that adds up as well. So who is the breakaway character of the year? Hit me up, guys. This is the fun one. Well, sure, I'll start. I think Deathstroke, people finally care about Deathstroke. Not that I ever cared about whether or not people cared about Deathstroke, but I truly believe that any creative people can turn any character into something successful if they're given the room to do something creative with it. And here we have a villain book where the villain is actually a complete piece of shit, and it's still interesting, which is not a given. And he's such a has-been as a concept, but you have Christopher Priest and then a series of really, top-notch artists working on the book, and suddenly people care about Deathstroke. I definitely think people are super hungry to actually have something ongoing with America Chavez in it. Like, I think while people's responses to the specific series were kind of mixed, I felt like the people in the fandom spaces in which I interact are still in love with the character America Chavez and want to see her.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I was just wondering, didn't that get canceled? I thought I heard the other day.
Yes, it did get canceled, indeed.
I feel like she was written better in Ultimates. I like her better in like this she's kind of like Wolverine. She's like really good in this small like one-liner action doses, but like her ongoing book was like all over the place. Like good art, like Ramon Villalobos is like a stud, but like
he didn't do the art on that. It was the art Joe Quinones.
Yeah, he did like a 2-issue arc on it though. It was really good.
Okay.
It's okay, like it's fine, but yeah, like I feel, I don't know, like this is more crossover with the TV world, but like she did show up in the comics. Gert Yorks from the Runaways. I feel like when she was first introduced in the early 2000s, I guess people weren't ready for like a agnostic socialist, like I guess fat like Jewish girl to be like kind of like the big time hero. But like I feel like in 2017 people were ready for that, and also like she's just the best part of the TV show, which only helps the comics. Yeah, and like she's great in the book because she's like not like she's like been brought back from the dead after like 10 years. Dead definitely does not mean dead. So she's kind of like the nostalgic one. So like it's like she was always like the cynical one, but now she's like the nostalgic one. But yeah, and also like just the show helps a lot. Like I guess if the show wasn't a thing, like people wouldn't talk about her as much. But yeah, Gert Yorks for sure. Yeah.
Well, I know a lot of folks were really excited about the return of the Runaways comics as well, and she, at least among folks I know, has always been a favorite. So good to see her back. Well, do you guys have any characters that really need to go away and not be in so much fan stuff this upcoming year? I think Deadpool is always a perfectly fine response to that question. Like, do we need all the Deadpool? No, we don't. Make it stop. So sorry, you just said Batman? I heard you say that, Alex? Hit me up. Tell me more.
Batman. So, I love Batman. I think he's a fantastic character. But I don't need to see him in every damn DC book. I don't need to see him in every possible miniseries crossover. No, I'm really enjoying the Batman TMNT crossover series. But like, I don't need that. I don't need a Batman book every week. I don't need 2 Batman books every other week. It's just, give me a break. Like, Batman's becoming, when I was getting into, I remember the late 90s, Wolverine was everywhere. And I feel Batman is becoming the same now, more so than ever. He's in Justice League of America. He's in Justice League, Batman, Detective Comics, Batman in the Shadow, which apparently is still being put out, Batman TMNT. He shows up fairly regularly in Super Sons. I'm pretty sure he's in, at least mentioned or has at least a voice cameo in Nightwing every 3 issues.
Oh, man.
It's just, and this is only what I can remember off the top of my head. And what I'm actually reading too, like it's just DC has some great characters. They don't need to keep relying on Batman all the damn time.
Okay, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a second. I think that the reason why these books, like starring Batman, is played more of a supporting role in like all these books. Like for example, the main Batman book it showcased Catwoman and Kite Man and all these, like, and then there's All-Star Batman, which showcased all the villains. Then Detective is all about the family. Like, Batman barely shows up in Detective Comics. I don't really know about the crossovers as much. And I feel like in JLA, he kind of has this, like, silent, like, kind of, he's like the glue of the team. He's kind of like, you know, what Kevin Conroy's character was in Justice League Unlimited. So I feel like, yeah, like, he's in every book. I agree with you on that. But, like, I feel like he's, like, this special, like, sauce ingredient. Like, he's not, like, the main ingredient, but he's, like, kind of connecting things. And I feel like a lot of that's, like, editorial, like Jamie Rich and Mark Doyle. But, yeah, I feel like I'm okay with Batman, like, showing up in books. I mean, as long as he doesn't, like, you know, overtake it. Like, he play like if he plays the more, you know, supporting role, like, it's cool. Which I feel like he's kind of like a supporting character in every book except for, like, his flagship. And he keeps getting, like, outshone by, like, characters like even like Swamp Thing and, like, even like Superman. Like, yeah, it's yeah.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you in that he is used as a supporting character and a special ingredient. But I mean, to liken it to pizza, I love pizza and I love bacon on my pizza. But if I have bacon in everything I'm eating all the time, then I just get sick of it, and I just don't want bacon all the time. Regardless of if it's just there to add to the flavor or part of the main draw of the dish, like in breakfast. I don't want bacon in everything I'm eating, and I don't want Batman, no matter how subtle, in every single DC comic that I'm reading either.
Cool. I love this debate. Anybody else totally overexposed and need to be gone with?
I don't really have characters that I think are overexposed, but I feel like I would be okay if, like, Nick Spencer, Dan Slott, Mark Waid never wrote a comic ever again. Took an early retirement. Like, I don't know. Like, I just seem like these mediocre writers on, like, big books. Like, it just, oh man.
Yep.
So annoying.
I'm like burnt out on hearing about Captain America at this point.
I don't know. That Chris Samnee art, though, is slick.
Yeah, no, it's not even like the comics. I don't really even read that many Marvel comics. I just don't want to hear about it.
That's legit.
And, like, the constant events are just kind of exhausting to, like, hear about.
Yes.
But I think that's about it for me.
I'll give a controversial answer that probably no one else here will agree with. Okay. I'd like to see at least a little less of Tom King. I'm sorry, but I know everybody. I don't care for his Batman. I guess everyone else here likes it. I do like Mr. Miracle.
Yeah.
Okay, I do like Mr. Miracle, but all his characters, apart from the Vision, speak in the exact same voice. They have these little quip lines. He has this Hemingway-style adjective-free prose that he gets into. All his characters sound exactly the same. And some of the messaging is a little bit dodgy. I like the Omega Men, but some of that pro-torture, pro-mind control stuff in there, I don't know if it's just his CIA background or what, but I think we could see a little less of Tom King. And as much as I do like Mr. Miracle, it's obvious to me what he's doing there, too. He's just doing Mulholland Drive in reverse. The suicide attempt came at the beginning rather than, at the end of that film. And then we're left to decipher how much is real and how much is not. His last Batman issue that everybody loved with that Bruce Wayne analog kid who turned out he killed his own parents thing, that was ripped off directly from an old martial law, Kingdom of the Blind, by Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill, where their Batman stand-in character turned out to have killed his own parents years ago. So, I don't know. I like Tom King. I thought the Vision was fantastic. I thought Sheriff of Babylon was amazing. But the stuff, he's spread a little thin these days, and his stuff is not impressing me like it once was and like it apparently he still is to everyone else. So, more power to everyone who still loves him, but I'm a little burned out on the guy.
I can see that, Ryan. I find, like, I don't love everything Tom King's been doing on Batman. I find when he's on, he's really good. When he's not, it's noticeable. I've said to Joe on those two geeks, I feel that Batman's release schedule is almost too quick for him. Especially with Batman and Tom King on that. I haven't read much Mr. Miracle, so I can't comment on that. But I feel like with his Batman, maybe he would do better with a monthly schedule as opposed to every 2 weeks.
I mean, every 2 weeks is just batshit. Like, that's another point. But
he also works with really good artists like Joella Jones and like Mikko Janin. Like, I'm really interested to see, like, what if he did a book with a not good artist, and I don't know, it might all fall apart. Like,
he's had a charmed career. He's been paired with good artists from day one.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, nobody else finds that his dialogue style is really repetitious at this point?
I haven't read enough of his work
I find it rhythmic,
right.
actually. I don't know. It's like I find it really rhythmic, especially at the grids. It's like reading a poem, kind of. Like when I read like those kind of comics, I don't like look for like realistic dialogue, I guess. So, I mean, yeah.
Well, I guess I'm speaking more specifically from book to book to book. I mean, his dialogue in Batman, the characters all seem the same to me. His dialogue in Mr. Miracle, they all talk that way. His dialogue in Omega Men, they all talk that way. Everyone talks in these short quips, or there's a lot of kind of rhythmic repetition of words and phrases and stuff. The Vision is the only one where his characters sounded remarkably different to one another, and they were all a bunch of friggin' robots. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather see something like that where he lets his artists breathe versus someone like Bendis or like all these filmmakers who go into comics and they just like cover up the art with like word balloons. He knows how to like, cut his artists loose and, keep his dialogue kind of to a minimum. But yeah, I can see where you guys are coming from.
Well, we should wrap up about now, guys. If anybody has any last thoughts on things people should read or things that you want them to read moving forward, have it out. Well, I found
one like really big sleeper book.
Go ahead. Yeah, do it.
Sleeper book is a Heavenly Blues from Scout Comics. It's like the best of like 90s verdict. It's like the best of Sandman with like the best of Preacher, and it's a heist story, and it's a lot of fun, and you should check it out.
Whoa,
from
that
Scout,
sounds awesome.
Heavenly
Say
Blues.
that name again. Heavenly Blues.
Heavenly Blues. It's not getting enough. Heavenly Blues. It's like not getting enough love at all.
Who's the publisher?
Scout.
Scout.
It's like the only Scout book I've read.
Well, you should read Hunch Girl because Hunch Girl is amazing, but it is on Dark Horse.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I mean, I definitely want to look into the publisher more in 2018.
So
I had to do a shout out.
Where our listeners? Sorry, tell our listeners where you can be found on the internet. Surely you all do write at graphicpolicy.com, but are there? Where can our folks find you at Twitter? Do you want to go ahead, Madison?
Sure. So I write for Graphic Policy. I also write about games for SideQuest, and I tweet a lot about games on Twitter at Madison R. Butler. All one word, and it is all spelled like it sounds. So.
Mm-hmm. Alex?
Yeah, so you can find me at Carcossa, Karcossa, and obviously every writing for Graphic Policy as well. Before we move on to the next person, one comic that is not getting, or just to dovetail your last question, is Farlin the Goblin. I think self-published by Pod Grumble, and I'm in the process of finishing a review of the 5th issue right now. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a charming, fun, all-ages comic about a goblin who's trying to find a home for a truth.
Let's say that name again. Goblin what?
Farlin the Goblin.
Following the Goblin.
Farlin. Farl.
Farlin the Goblin. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Logan, where are you on the internet?
You can find me at Midnighter Bay on Twitter. Bay is spelled B-A-E. And I also co-host a podcast called The Lost Cause. It's a film and TV. And this week we're going to be talking about Taika Waititi's whole filmography, so should be fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Ryan?
I'm at Trash Film Guru on Twitter. You can find my movie review site, trashfilmguru.wordpress.com. My comics review site is 4colorapocalypse.wordpress.com, the word 4, not the letter. I also have a weekly comics review column at dailygrindhouse.com, and just a little bit of stuff for graphic policy here and there. If I can get up one shout-out for an underseen book came out recently, Farmer Ned's Comics Barn by Gerald Jablonski. This is the most amazing, idiosyncratic. No one else has attempted to do comics like this guy. I believe he's in his late 60s, lives in upstate New York somewhere. He's been doing one-page strips here and there for about 25 years. They are like nothing you've ever seen in your life. I guarantee it. Farmer Ned's Comics Barn.
Cool. Thank you. And me, I'm Ilana, ELANA_Brooklyn, and I'm at Graphic Policy and on this podcast. And I know we'll be back in February talking about Black Panther. We have some really hot guests coming on. We're going to also be talking with Mark Russell about his new comic, which envisions a certain Hanna-Barbera character fighting the House Un-American Activities Commission, obviously the kind of thing I'm into. And thanks you all for joining us. Remember, graphicpolicy.com has reviews on comics, media, games, and everything else up every day of the week. Always check us out. If you missed the beginning of this podcast, you can catch up with us on our iTunes at Graphic Policy. We're also on SoundCloud and Stitcher. Everywhere you find your podcasts, you can find Graphic Policy. And like we say, keep it geeky.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.